What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 124 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast. My name is Dave Kanoodling, here with my brothers Christian and Matt to discuss stories from around the soccer world. Christian, hello.
Hello.
Matthew, hello.
Hello. I'm very excited with how fast Dave is talking right now. It's pretty impressive.
Thank you. I try. I speed through this. If you're joining us live on YouTube, please feel free. Say hello. Interact with us.
Dave to listen to this in double speed while he is talking in double speed.
Yeah, I know. I honestly think that might be messing with me because I only listen to podcasts at double speed, so I feel like I have to talk quick, and so yeah, I don't know. Maybe that subliminally.
Like
yes, I am an auctioneer.
Just making half the time.
Yes. Yes, Matt. That's a great idea. Okay, anyway, sorry, we're done with that. If you're joining us live on YouTube, please feel free to say hello. Looks like Steven is here. Steven, hello. Thank you for being here. He says, hello, bacon lovers. So, Matt, I think that's a special shout out for you.
I love bacon.
Yes, we know you love bacon.
You,
we have Game of Thrones coming up in an hour and 20 minutes, so we're going to try to power through this episode as we go along here. Guys, you ready to get into things?
Yeah. If we're late for Game of Thrones, I am going to freak out. I'm leaving the podcast.
Okay, all right. We'll get it done beforehand. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to fuck me. What is this? It's episode 124. What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Bros Talking Soccer podcast, episode 124. My name is Dave Kanoodling, here with my two brothers, Christian and Matt, to discuss stories from around the soccer world. Christian, hello. How are you doing today?
Hello, David. I'm doing all right. I was out in the rain today playing in a game in the city where the Phillies and the Broad Street Run and the Sixers were all playing, so traffic was a nightmare, and that just was not fun. We won the game 1-0, but I was wet and annoyed at the world.
All right. So glad you won. Sorry about all those other things, but happy, you made it home safe and we're able to podcast on time as always. So we greatly, greatly appreciate that. Matthew, hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, David. Thank you for asking. I know the Sixers lost today. I was pretty upset about that. Pretty sure the Phillies won today. I got a notification. I think they won 7-1. I know you guys are super thrilled about that.
Yeah, could not care less.
Wow.
And really excited. Game of Thrones later. And excited to talk to my brothers.
Wow,
it's great to talk to you guys again.
We're excited to talk to you. Guys, I'm doing fantastic. I saw Avengers by myself Friday morning. And guys, movie theaters are awesome now. I haven't been in a couple years. They had like electric recliners. I got my own little tub of popcorn, tons of space. Very, very comfortable. I'm going to start going to more movies just by myself. And that was a ton of fun.
I think they've had tubs of popcorn for a while now.
Pretty long time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I don't usually get the popcorn. I got butter on there, guys. It was a fantastic day, and Avengers was fantastic. Yeah, and overall,
have you guys heard
should we spoil it? Should we tell everybody what happens, who dies?
No, we're not gonna. No spoilers here. That would be a dick move. Matt, you're saying something?
Yeah, I was going to say, has anyone heard about the new invention of butter that also comes with the new invention of tubs of popcorn that come at movie theaters?
It's amazing. It's amazing, guys. You should really check it out. Get out more. All right. Christian, over to you for our trivia question this week.
All right, the trivia question this week was, when were recliners introduced to movie theaters? No, I'm kidding. Okay, so the actual question this week is going to be related to our favorite joke of a team, Manchester United. Can you guys name the last season where they won their last away game of the year?
Okay.
So the last, do you understand?
Yes,
Dave,
I understand.
Oh, okay. So
their last away game of the season. When's the last time they won that?
Their final.
Okay.
Yeah.
Their final.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so we'll think on that, listeners. You'll think on it as well. And then we'll give our guess at the end before Christian reveals it in a wonderful, glorious ceremony. And we all laugh and cry and join hands and just have a fantastic time. Matt, over to you for Matt's Megs.
Oh, wow. Thank you, David, for that amazing intro. You're the best. Hey, welcome, everyone, to Matt's Megs. Today, we'll get started talking a little bit of CONCACAF, a little bit of European soccer. So, rumor has it is Chucky Lozano, however you want to say it, Mexican star, is rumored to be going to Napoli. 40 million euros, pounds, I wasn't quite sure. dollars. I wasn't quite sure about the pesos. I don't know, whatever the fee was.
I would think it's euros.
Yeah, I would think it's euros as well, but I couldn't tell the currency.
I don't think it was pesos.
I don't think it was pesos either. I was just, hey, who knows? I don't know. We're just out here. We're just out here throwing out numbers.
Okay. But, Matt's had a couple drinks today for people who may not know.
Yeah, the Sixers lost, so I was in my feelings for a little bit. So
also Cinco de Mayo. So
also Cinco de Mayo. Very good, Christian. Hey, everyone, happy Cinco de Mayo.
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah. So, Christian, I'll start with you. Is Chucky Lozano at this point the face of CONCACAF, or would you say Pulisic or anybody else has kind of taken that role?
Wow, that's a tough question. I would first like to address you sucking up to Dave to start your section, so please don't do that. It makes me physically nauseous. Second, we're going to address your actual question. What I think on this is it depends on the country that you're in. I'm sure in Mexico, they're really blowing up Lozano. He's a really, really talented player. He was, I think, being linked to a lot of top teams around Europe. Like, I think Barcelona were in there at one point.
Yeah.
Napoli, I think, is the right next step for him. I think that is kind of a stepping stool to maybe moving to a bigger team after that. But I think he needs to prove himself in a league like Serie A. Serie A is one of those weird leagues where, I mean, everyone knows who's going to win every year, and it's not really fun. But if he can make it competitive and do something that no one's done in, 9 years now? Is that what we're at? It's really annoying. Then, yeah, he should be like the face of CONCACAF probably. I think Pulisic is in America just because obviously you're going to promote your own player. But I think Chucky probably has a higher ceiling as things stand right now, even though Pulisic is going to Chelsea. I don't know if he's ready for the Premier League, and it might be too soon.
Okay. David.
So I would agree with a lot of what Christian said. I think if Pulisic and the U.S. men's national team went to the World Cup last year, I think Pulisic might have a greater claim to being the face of CONCACAF, especially because of his big money move to Chelsea that's coming up. I find it also a little bit surprising that Lozano's only moving for 40 million euros, Matt. I am not confident in that number just because I feel like he moved to, where is he, PSV? For a number, in the $20 million range? Like, again, I feel like with his talent level, with his age, I feel like they could have gotten more. So it's a little bit surprising if he actually does move. But like Christian said, it would be a fantastic step in his career. And, he's not moving to a Barcelona, which might be a step, too far too quickly. If he can prove it at Napoli, I think it'll be good career progression. And I think he probably has a claim to being the face of CONCACAF right now because of what he accomplished with Mexico at the World Cup and because of what he's done at PSV.
Yeah, so at this point, I think he kind of has earned the right to be the face of CONCACAF at this moment, especially considering the U.S. didn't qualify for the World Cup.
So, can I ask a question? Is there actually a thing that is the face of CONCACAF?
Yes, it is. It's a rolling monthly thing. Everybody, yeah.
Because I feel like that's not a thing.
No, it's not a thing.
It's not like a face of.
It's Matt's thing.
The thing of like. What the hell's happening?
I still feel like there's a face.
So you would say
like
Messi is the face of CONMEBOL? Like, would you say that? Because that's crazy. Brazil would probably try and murder you.
Christian, you're invading Matt's Megs.
I'm sorry. I was just wondering. I was just wondering.
Well, I still feel like there's a debate probably between Messi and Neymar in CONMEBOL.
What?
Yeah, what, Matt?
I don't know. I feel like they would argue that, each of them. I mean, Neymar is great for his country. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
No. That's an interesting point. I know the conversation is devolving into something that I didn't think you meant it to, but that's an interesting point. Neymar probably performs better, at least from a stats perspective, for Brazil than Messi does for Argentina,
especially at his age. I still think.
Let's see how riled up. Let's see how riled up we can get Christian.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I'm biting my lips together.
Yeah. So at this point, I still think Chuck Lozano is kind of deserved to be the best player right now in CONCACAF. He had a great year in the Eredivisie. He had, I think, 30 games played, 17 goals, 11 assists, which is pretty incredible for an attacker, especially a winger. So, I mean, he showed his stats this year. I'm also kind of surprised by the 40 million price tag, and I know these are just kind of reports. It's nothing confirmed, but it seems like from what I've read, like 40 million euros is the price tag he's going for. But I think he is probably the best player in CONCACAF right now. I mean, Pulisic, we'll see how he does in the Premier League, and kind of all the things he's went through this year and going to the bench kind of Dortmund because they know he's leaving at the end of the year. He's kind of hit like a wall in his career, but I think it's impressive what Lozano has done, and I think now there's no ceiling to this guy. I think he can be one of the world's better players. I don't think he's going to be the world's best, but I think he can be one of the world's better players.
Sounds like you just said there is a ceiling.
Okay, so there is a ceiling. I don't think he's the world's best, but I think he can be pretty good in the world stage.
Okay, I would
Do you
agree.
guys disagree?
No, I would agree with that, but also we're forgetting. You said Pulisic hit a bit of a wall. He's 20 years old. Like, I think a lot of times we forget that Pulisic. This is something natural that happens in a lot of young players' careers where they go through ups and downs. I think Pulisic just burst onto the scene, and we put so much pressure and emphasis on him that it's incredible what he's accomplished at 20. Lozano's 23, about to be 24 in July, and Pulisic's only 20. He's going to be 21 in September. And so that does play a role too. He's got 3 more years on Pulisic.
Yeah, that's a good point. Christian, do you have any other points about Chuck Lozano?
I think he's a very, very talented player. I don't think he will be one of the elite players, but I think he will be in terms of CONCACAF players.
So at this point, do you think Pulisic is looking better in his career than Chuck Lozano or any other CONCACAF players?
I think he's looking like the best American player.
That wasn't what he asked.
I don't know.
That's not what
I feel like he's probably the first or second best right now. That's out there, yes.
David, what do you think?
Yeah, I would think because of Pulisic's somewhat spotty club form this year, again, he was bothered by a lot of injuries. He's moving to Chelsea. A lot of factors went into that. So based on Lozano's performance this season for PSV, yeah, I would say that he is the best performing CONCACAF player right now.
Okay, great. Anything else you guys want to add about this?
No, I'm good.
Freaking clock man over there.
I'm just keeping you guys aware.
I think he probably is at this point the best player, but a couple years younger Pulisic. We'll see how that goes. But I still think Chuck Lozano is the best player in CONCACAF. But moving on. So next thing I want to talk about is Champions League this week. I think it was the Tuesday match between Ajax and Tottenham, where Jan Vertonghen went off. Got injured with his he went off with a head injury. Clearly looked like he broke his nose, got hit in the head, and he came off. There was, I would say, like a 5-minute stoppage in play, and the side officials and whoever it was that I think we were texting about it. Is there another official that checks head injuries? Did we get that confirmed?
I don't know if it happens in Champions League play. I want to say the Premier League has it, but I'm not certain that it happens with UEFA in Champions League.
Okay, yeah. So we're not entirely sure.
Yeah.
But
you're talking about an independent medical evaluator, independent medical doctor.
Let's sit here and wait for one of our listeners to tell us.
Okay.
Let's just sit and wait.
Yeah. Let's sit and wait. Okay. No, but yeah. So Jan Vertonghen was approved to come back on the pitch after the center referee was very skeptical about letting him on. There was about another minute of time added after he was down where they were arguing with medical staff and the coaches to let him on. He was on for another 15 seconds before he went off very clearly injured with a head injury. Dave, I'll start with you. What do you think needs to be done about head evaluations or head injury evaluations in pro soccer at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear cut. They need to allow a temporary substitution for a proper evaluation to happen. I want to say it sometimes takes 5, 10, upwards of 15 minutes for symptoms of a concussion to show. And so in soccer, there's so much pressure put on teams when they're playing down a man, put on team doctors. I mean, we saw it with the Union where they had a player come off injured and then they give up a goal because they're playing with 10 men. And so in soccer, it's that weird dynamic where substitutions are so critical. And it's unfair to put it on these doctors to make decisions that, I mean, is more or less an educated guess. So they need to allow temporary substitutions for a full evaluation to take place. And then, they can evaluate from there.
That's an interesting take. Christian, what do you think?
I find it really hard to introduce these temporary substitutions. I don't know if people will be taking advantage of that, which they will 100% if people are faking head injuries and they allow someone to come on for 10 minutes while they fakingly get evaluated. Like that just seems like it's just introducing a whole other unethical piece of the game, which we know will exist. No matter what you try and excuse right now, that is going to happen. And I don't think that the answer is that. I don't really know what the answer is, though. I think that they just have to make an official substitution when there's a head injury. If it's maybe more than 3 to 5 minutes, like it's on them. Like this was so clearly a concussion, and even though they're still saying now he doesn't have a concussion, he literally couldn't walk 5 yards off the field. Like he was like falling over and woozy. There's no way he didn't have a concussion, and for them to say that just blows my mind.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with Christian here entirely. I think he was clearly concussed. I think it would be very hard to introduce something where you have temporary substitutions because I think people would take advantage of that. I think that it's kind of in place that, when there is an injury, you go down 10 men. I think that's kind of an accepted thing in the game, and then you make a substitution as soon as you can if you know that player can't come back on. And I know, at younger ages in America now, I think it's up to like U11, you're not allowed to head the ball anymore. I don't see that rule ever going into place at higher levels, but it's just like interesting knowing that head injuries are such a big part of soccer, and I don't see something like that ever going into place. But I think it's just part of the game, and they need to do a better job at being able to detect it and getting people off the field as fast as they can. Anything else you guys want to add?
I know Dave wants to say more things.
Yeah, I want to say more things because you guys didn't really. You're just saying the doctors need to take players off, and so that doesn't really address the issue. So maybe if there was an independent doctor that had to be there to say whether they could go on or not, maybe that would play.
100% should be what it is.
Okay, so then yeah, all right, but yeah, no, I've said all I'll say for this section.
Okay. But as you said earlier, sometimes it takes 5, 10, 15. Like, it takes a while.
Maybe even 20.
Yeah. Wow. Imagine that. But, for those symptoms to kick in. So, is that really a good factor?
Is that a question, Matt? This is a weird podcast happening right now. Is that a question? Make
it what you want it to be.
Okay. Yeah.
Good point, Matt.
There would be a defined timeline of how long the temporary sub before they became official. So whether that's 10 or 15 minutes, that would be my assumption. Or maybe you have an independent, doctor who's not affiliated with either team at every single match that can make that sort of call.
Okay. And at this point, I know we talked about in our text, like there were independent doctors at some form of games. I assume we don't know which games they are at. Correct?
I don't know. Christian, do you know?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea either. But they should be everywhere at all times.
Yes, they
Alright.
should.
Anything else?
Should we start over?
No.
Just
No.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
No,
Alright.
I have nothing else.
Good.
Yes.
Moving on. Okay, last topic. Well, thanks guys for that last topic. You guys are great. Okay, last topic I want to talk about is the English Football League Championship. You got EFL Championship, got the name right, and it's so Norwich and Sheffield United are the two teams that got automatically promoted. Norwich won the championship, if I'm correct.
Yep.
Yep, and Sheffield came in second, and then third versus sixth is Leeds and Derby, and 4 versus 5 is West Brom, who the team I hate the most, and Aston Villa. So I swear to God, if West Brom get freaking promoted. So Christian, I'll start with you. What do you think is going to happen between Leeds and Derby?
Leeds and Derby, I think, will be a very, very good game. I still don't really understand why Leeds gave up their goal in the last game, which could have kept them in for automatic promotion. But I guess they just want to be good sports. Yay, Leeds. I think this is going to be a really tight game. I think Derby's one of those teams that are always, it seems, in the championship, and they're always making the playoff, or at least around that position, but never actually get promoted. It would be nice to see them come back up and prove a point, considering they had 11 points last time they were in the Premier League, and they're kind of the laughing stock. But no,
I don't think that was the last time, because I want to say that they were in more recently than that, but they
sure
do
that
hold.
that was 2007 when they were last in.
Okay, maybe I could be wrong.
I think it is.
Okay, I could be wrong.
I think you're wrong.
I think I agree with Christian.
Okay.
Yeah, so it would be nice to see them come back. I think Leeds probably will win this, though.
Fair enough. David, what do you think?
It's tough. I don't follow the championship too closely. I know that Leeds is sort of sputtering towards the finish line. They were in kind of the automatic promotion places and for most of the season, and then they sort of fell out in their last few matches. And it's really, really tough to come off of the disappointment of not being automatically promoted and then go into the playoffs, which is such like a really tough thing. So I think the storylines would be amazing to have Leeds back in the Premier League, but I find it tough for them to sort of rally here. And, you know, Derby with Frank Lampard, they have an American, Dwayne Holmes. And so I'll be pulling for Derby just from those factors.
Yeah, so for me, and, you know, obviously I don't follow the championship too closely, but from my loose perspective is that Derby County is there pretty often and then somehow fumbles it almost every year. They seem like they're a team that should be promoted almost every year and then end up not happening. So I think that's why Leeds somewhat has the advantage. And Leeds, I know they're the 3 seed, or they're the 3 seed. They play better all year, so I think that's why they have the advantage. I think they're home at first, so I think they should get off to a better start. I think I started with Christian. So Dave, going back to you, what do you think about West Brom and Aston Villa?
So Villa has been on red hot form. They lost their last match to Norwich, but Norwich, runaway league leaders. So I would give the edge to Aston Villa based on my very limited knowledge of the championship and just knowing the run of form that they were on. And given that their historical, significance as one of the biggest teams in England, and, our friend Drew, shout him out. He's a Villa fan. And so I guess I'll say that they get a win there.
All right. Christian?
So for 2 reasons, I hope West Brom get promoted.
Oh my God.
One will be because Matt, I just want to hear every game. I want to hear every week what you have to say about West Brom. And 2, I just don't want to hear from Drew at all about Aston Villa. So I'm really pulling for West Brom here. I think they're in pretty good form. I think they were kind of out of it for a while and are sneaking in and are kind of taking that last, or what are they, in 5th place?
I think they're 4th. Yeah, they're 4th.
They're 4th.
Are they 4th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm not remembering that right. I think that they did come from. I think they were in the mid-table and came in pretty late in the season. But
sure.
Who knows? Maybe I'm making that up. Who knows? And I think that they're going to win this. I know Aston Villa came out of nowhere. I thought West Brom did the same thing, but Aston Villa are on a run of like 11 straight wins, I think, until that Leeds game.
Norwich.
All right, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, Leeds game and then the Norwich game. So, yeah. They haven't won in the last two.
Rather bad.
Yeah. So, for me, I'm really pulling for Aston Villa here. I can't stand to see West Brom back in the Premier League. For some reason, just the most boring club I've ever seen in the Premier League that was able to stay in for way too long. And
Tony Pulis.
That just really just threw me off. And I can't do it anymore. I swear to God, if they freaking get promoted again, they're going down right away. And there's nothing more to say about it. So I really hope Aston Villa. Anything else you guys want to say?
I do want to say, Christian, you were correct. Derby, the 2007-2008 season is when they had 11 points. That was the last time they were in the Premier League. So you were correct.
I know.
For the record, I also agreed with Christian.
Matt, you were also correct.
Yay. Good job, Matt.
Oh, wow. Thanks. So, with that being said, I'd like to conclude Matt's Megs with being correct.
The longest Matt's Megs ever.
Yeah, so thank you for joining me. I'll listen to the music, and we'll be right back.
All right, good stuff, guys. A nice 22 minutes, Matt.
Oh, wow.
For real?
I added a third topic. I'm gonna take that out.
Is Game of Thrones over yet?
Yeah, whatever you want to do. And we also
make it quick. Quick like a bunny. Quick like a bunny.
Yeah, Glenn's question, Matt, either in your section, but we'll circle back to it. Go ahead. Stadium scene plug.
Check it out, friends, at Stadium Scene if you're going to any stadium in the US or Canada. This is not just soccer, this is all sports. So if you want to learn about where to park, what to do around the stadium, what events are happening, what bars and restaurants to go to, definitely check them out. Matt, what else do they do?
They also partner with content creators like ourselves and offer you things like blog posts, YouTube videos, podcasts, all that great stuff. And again, it's not just soccer, it's all sports North America. So again, check them out at stadiumscene.tv.
Yeah, and if you have a podcast blog or any other piece of content that you're creating, check out their partner portal. You can join it, be a part of the network that we're a part of. It's awesome. So go check it all out at stadiumscene.tv.
Remember when Dave was just like, ugh, I can't have them just talk. I have to be a part of this too.
Yeah.
You guys don't the partner portal plug.
Who?
Would you like to give the partner portal plug?
No.
Okay. All right. What's going on with
that? Triple P?
Can't let us have it.
You talking about the Triple P?
All right, I'm ready. Let's get this going.
Whenever you're ready.
Welcome to Christian's Corner. I hope you enjoyed that little musical interlude. And we're going to hop right in with the first topic about Pep Guardiola. All right, so he this week said that he thinks Liverpool are the second best team that he has come up against. The first team he said was that Barcelona team coached by Luis Enrique that had Neymar, Messi, and Suarez. He said that is the best team that he has faced. He says Liverpool are the second. Do you guys think that's a reasonable thing for him to say, considering the Real Madrid teams he's come up against, some of the other teams, I guess Dortmund, Man United, I guess last year, who was like, yeah, that's a funny joke. But who do you guys think? Do you think that's a reasonable thing for him to say? Do you think that they are probably that? David, let's start with you.
I think it's probably a bit of recency bias and also probably a little dig at Real Madrid, given his roots to FC Barcelona. I mean, but this Liverpool team is one of the historically greatest teams in England, along with Manchester City. So it's not out of the realm of possibility or the elm of possibility. It's not out of the elm of possibility. But I do think that this is maybe a little bit too much. I wouldn't say that they're probably the second, but I haven't studied every single team that he's ever faced. But I would imagine that they're top five.
Cool. Matt, what do you think?
So in the time that Christian has notified us about these topics, I have studied every single team Pep Guardiola has ever faced. And I think
I actually didn't even tell you about this one. This is the surprise topic.
That's the joke that he's making.
Yeah, but they didn't.
Just-
they didn't know that.
Right over your head. I think they probably could have picked up on it from context, but now the joke is killed. And Matt, back to you.
It's almost like jokes are the only mine in Christian's corner. You will not have jokes here.
All right, yeah. So I don't think it's. I mean, it's a slight dig at Real Madrid, but I don't think it's too far off. I mean, if Liverpool don't win the league this year and they win their last game, I think they have the third most points in Premier League history. And if they do win the league and City drop points, they're going to have the second most points in Premier League history. So I don't think it's too far off saying that they're one of the best teams he's ever faced. I mean, they're in the Champions League semifinal. I mean, sorry about that, but we all know how that first league went. But I mean, the scoreline didn't really show what actually happened in that game. Liverpool were kind of neck and neck, and then things just kind of didn't go their way at the Camp Nou. So it's kind of hard, but I do think Liverpool are probably one of the better teams I've seen in recent years.
We're going through in the semifinal. I ain't concerned. No, we're not actually. I'm gonna move right on from that. So I think that this could be true. I think he is digging a little bit at Real Madrid just because of the rivalry he had with Jose and everyone else that he was up against then. But it might be a little bit of recency bias. It probably is the second or third best team he has faced. That Barcelona team was absolutely terrifying with MSN, but this front line for Liverpool is really great, and they are a real fun team. Like, just they're well-rounded. They have the depth to compete with City, who are arguably the best team that we've seen in the Premier League era, and that just proves a point. And I know you're making a face over there, but that's definitely true based off of performances and points that they're picking up.
Who's making a face?
You.
The only reason I was making a face is the depth piece. I feel like if they lose some of the attackers, they don't quite have their replacements. Van Dijk's arguably the best player in the league
ever
right now. Yeah, no, but I think I was just making a face just about the depth. I think obviously City is deeper, and maybe some of the other teams Pep has faced have been a little bit deeper. But the starting 11 for Liverpool, yeah, I would have no problems with this actually being the second best team he's ever faced.
The team is deeper if you have deeper pockets. Boom, roasted money jokes.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Liverpool is so poor, they can't afford anybody. But I agree with Dave's point with the depth. Liverpool's starting 11, I think, could be up there as one of the top 3, top 5 team Pep has ever faced. But when you start going to how deep they are, I don't think they have necessarily what a lot of other teams have.
I wouldn't say a lot of other teams. I was just comparing them to City. I mean, I still think Liverpool's.
I didn't say a lot, did I?
Yes.
I would say the same thing about that Barcelona team, though. If one of those 3 had gone down, they wouldn't have been the same.
That's a good point. That's a fair point.
Yeah,
good job, Christian.
Thanks. Thank you.
Wasn't Pedro there?
Like if one of the Bale, Ronaldo, Benzema had gone down, except Benzema, because who cares? If Bale
Whoa, I'm not okay with that. Benzema is very, very good and underrated. So, yeah.
Wow, look at this guy. Look at this fucking guy. Well, that's just not true. So we're gonna move on from that topic.
Wrong?
I am in fact calling Zidane wrong. Yes. So next topic will be we're gonna talk about the players. Oh wow, that's
professional writers.
Professional writers. No, it's not. That's not correct.
Okay.
It's the Football Writers Association.
I was close. FWA.
It's FWA. And they choose.
No, it's not.
No,
we got that wrong. Let's keep.
And the Professional Footballers Association, the 2 awards for the best player of the year, the players voted Van Dijk, and the writers voted for Raheem Sterling. Do you guys think these 2 players are the best? And if you had to pick one between the 2 of you, who would you have gone with? Matthew, I will start with you.
So I think Van Dijk was the best player this year. I think.
All right, that's enough. Let's move on. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
I think it's pretty hands down. So I think Dave mentioned this in one of the previous podcasts, but the way the media has kind of turned with the whole Raheem Sterling thing, with how it started maybe 4 years ago, and kind of how they viewed him versus this year, it seems like the media just like absolutely freaking loves him now. And I mean, he has kind of become the face of the fight against racism, but I feel like the media just absolutely loves him for that, and I think it has kind of gone in his favor, especially with the writers. But I think absolutely Van Dijk was the best player this year.
Okay, Dave.
It's interesting. It's very well said by Matt there. I would agree with that. I think, Christian, you asked, were these the top two players? I think yes, along with Hazard. I don't know what that echo was, so apologies there. Along with Hazard could have been up there, but at the end of the day, these are the two probably best players, at least best performing players on the two best teams in the league. And again, Van Dijk was so much more important to Liverpool, and so that's why I think he deserved the award and should have been the best player of the year for both the writers as well as players.
Yeah, so I guess it comes down to who is the best player versus who do you think is the most valuable player. Those are two different things in my mind. I don't know if that's how you guys view it too. I think Van Dijk clearly is the most valuable player.
Yeah, and that's why. So, what is this award? Is it best? I hate the word best because it's so subjective. Whereas most important, again, all of these could be subjective to a certain extent, but I feel like most important is a lot easier to sort of articulate. Whereas
player of the year,
what is it? It's just player of the year. Yeah, and so I guess it's open to interpretation, but I don't love that. And so for me, I think Van Dijk is more important, and he's also a defender. So comparing him to Raheem Sterling, who's like an attacking winger, is really so tough for me to do.
Yeah, and I agree. They're completely different players. They provide different skill sets. Van Dijk just in terms of his defensive responsibility, and he's combined that with goals and assists this year. I feel like he is clearly the choice, and I just I'm not sure. Why do you think? I guess the writers chose Sterling versus. Did you think it was because of what Matt mentioned?
I think that may have legitimately played a role there. I mean, it's not like Raheem Sterling was not deserving whatsoever. I personally think Van Dijk was more deserving based on on-field performance, but there is an element of Raheem Sterling does have a lot of media favor going for him because of all the social work, and societal issues that he's addressing, which is commendable. And maybe that did factor into for some writers. I don't know.
Okay. Anything else you have to add on this topic?
I'm good.
No.
Matt?
No, you're good. All right. So last topic here. I mean, you might as well stick in Liverpool because why not? Considering we've only talked about Liverpool and City in my section. It is going to be about Naby Keita, who had just gotten injured in the first 15 minutes of that Barcelona game. It was pretty early on, and Klopp said the doctors have ruled him out for 2 months. In response, Guinea, who is the national team that Naby Keita plays for, responded by saying that almost like that's unacceptable for Klopp to say. He's 100% going to play. They think the injury is only 2 to 3 weeks, and like Klopp has no business saying that he's not allowed to go to the African Cup of Nations. So, Matt, I'll start with you. What do you think of them responding in that way?
So I think this is kind of. I mean, I understand my talking topic was about hand injuries, but I think it's similar where just player safety in general needs to be kind of taken more seriously. I know with professional athletes, a lot of them are playing with injuries pretty often, but saying that somebody is fine without properly evaluating them is pretty dangerous. Them just saying that Klopp has no reason to say he's actually injured without their medical staff actually evaluating Keita is, it's absurd. So I think that it's dangerous kind of for the sport, and I think that putting players' kind of health in danger is, it's dangerous.
Yeah, so
Kind of like Austin Powers.
Danger is my middle name. The actual quote, I'll just read it, is the adductor is 2 to 3 weeks of unavailability. The Liverpool coach has to pull himself together, let the doctor do their job. So it's hasty and pretentious to make statements like this. What we do know is Naby Keita will be playing at African Cup.
As they then make a hasty, pretentious comment. Oh my God, that is amazing.
That's the word you just said.
Yeah, hasty, pretentious. That's what I meant to say. What's that?
You said presents.
Yeah, I know. I just try to power through it sometimes when I stumble over my words.
I will never let you power through.
I know.
I will always catch it.
I appreciate that.
So, Dave, what do you think about these comments?
I mean, quite frankly, I don't have too much else to add other than what Matt said. I think it's ridiculous for the Guinea FA president or whoever this was to make those comments without actually properly, understanding the evaluations. Now, it's a different story if they had a doctor visit him and make their own diagnosis, but it sounds like that didn't happen. And so I don't really know who's right in this scenario. He might be okay to go to the African Cup of Nations, and it might be, I think it's all like a political thing, not from the standpoint of like affecting actual real world politics, but just political, just from the standpoint of like soccer politics. There's always this push and pull between country and club.
Oh wow, that was a very abrupt ending. Sorry,
sorry. Yeah, as I kind of ended, Kristen was walking in the door too, so I just kind of I was done talking anyway, so I might as well stop.
Does she have anything to add on this conversation?
I don't think she has anything to add on the Guinea FA's comments about
she
Liverpool.
Stormed in the door as soon as you finished.
You're right, hun. I do not know you.
All right. So, anything else you guys have to add on this topic?
I'm good.
All right, so that'll wrap up. Oh, okay, that was a little delayed. Okay, so that'll wrap up Christian's Corner here. I hope you guys had fun.
I had an amazing time.
I hope you guys learned.
Thanks for having me.
My jokes. You guys can't make funnies. It's for me to do. And listen to some music. We'll be back with Dave's Domestic Dives right after this.
All right, great. Spencer B, I'm going to have to hide you for making that comment. Okay.
What was that?
Okay. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to acknowledge it. Okay, and then... All right, cool. Good job, Christian. I'll give a quick... What am I doing? FNX.network. What's up, everybody? Go check out our partner, FNX.network. FNX.network for tons of awesome content. They have all different kinds of blog posts, YouTube videos, podcasts, and more about a variety of topics, not just specific to sports. They also offer video games, lifestyle, entertainment, tech, and more news. All of that is available on FNX.network. Go check them out. All right, cool. Let's keep this thing rolling. All right, my topics. I just have two. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Dave's Domestic Dives. 2 topics for you this week. We got a lot of listener questions, so I'm going to go through my topics quick so we can get to the listener questions. First up, we didn't get to talk about this last weekend because of when we recorded the podcast, but Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Real Salt Lake center back Onuoha, I think is how you pronounce it. Matt, he's a former City center back. Is that how you pronounce it? Onuoha?
Yeah, Onuoha.
Yeah, Onuoha. They got into a trash talking battle, and Zlatan, I guess, talked, he said some stuff that Onuoha didn't appreciate. And Onuoha, after the match, came out and said, I'm not going to shake his hand because he said he was going to do me. He was going to hurt me. And they had some physical battles and that. Zlatan, after the match, came into the Real Salt Lake locker room and tried to
going to do him.
Yeah, it's an English saying. Yeah. I know it doesn't translate well. But he came into the RSL locker room and tried to apologize, and Onuoha rejected it. Christian, what do you make of just trash talk in general and how Onuoha sort of presented the situation?
So I know how you feel about trash talk, Dave, but I am all for the trash talk.
I'm fine. Okay, you give your talk, and then I'll respond to that. You're just okay. Go ahead, say your thing.
All right, so I think I'm all for it. I think it really makes for fun rivalries on the field. People get really heated when you're kind of coming at them and saying, well, I'm better than you, as Zlatan always does. I'm sure to every player he ever comes up against, he says, I'm better than you, and he proves it. So there's nothing there's really nothing wrong. This is what I expect from a lot of strikers and center backs. That's their personality types. I feel like center mids are usually more quiet type players for the most part.
Yeah, like Roy Keane, very quiet.
Yeah, that was literally the one person I was thinking, oh God, I hope he doesn't say that. But I feel like for the most part, the midfielders are very quiet and just go about their jobs, and the center backs and strikers are the ones who kind of are the most vocal and just most demonstrative people. So I have nothing to really complain about with this. I'm all for it.
Okay, just a quick response. I think it's dumb when fans trash talk between each other. I'm all for players trash talking. So I have no problems whatsoever with players trash talking. Matt, what do you think about just trash talk?
Damn it. I wanted to say I was going to speak for Dave where he's very against trash talking. But you took that from me. You spoke out of turn. You took that from me.
Hey, this is Dave's domestic dives.
All right. Yeah, so I don't really have a problem with this. I mean, it was just good, in-game banter, between the two. I think it's a part of the game, trash talk. I don't know why it's that big of a deal. I feel like it happens in many sports. It's not just soccer. It's pretty much every sport where trash talk's kind of just part of the game. I understand that, like, wanting to hurt someone is not okay, and any sport is kind of frowned upon. I don't know why Zlatan said that. I don't mean, obviously we don't have I don't have the audio. Did he actually? Is there like audio confirmation? Was anyone mic'd up to hear that, or
not that I know of? But say he did. Yeah. So let's just assume that.
Yeah. So if he did say that, that's kind of messed up. Like, you don't want to go out there to hurt someone. You can go out saying you're better, like, say whatever you want about the other player, offend them in a certain way about their style of play, but going out to hurt people, that's kind of just like a no-no in sports in general, because being hurt in sports is like the worst kind of thing to happen to your career, and you don't really know what's going to happen after that. So I think it's kind of just a messed up thing.
Yeah, and that's he was going to hurt his feelings, because clearly he did.
But to Matt's point, I think that's why Onuoha took so much exception with this, is because his livelihood is playing sports. But yeah, I mean, so is there a line with trash talk? I mean, I don't think Ibra, outside of throwing him down and just being physical, did anything overly dirty. I think there's obviously a line when you cross it and you do something actually dirty versus when you just say you're going to do something and use it just sort of like the mental game. How does that factor into all of this, Christian?
I think if you actually act on it, and he was just, sorry, what?
Just don't stop playing with whatever you're playing with.
Sorry, it moved. I was just pushing it back.
Stop playing with
my mic doesn't fall. So I think that it makes sense to. I just really got thrown off by you guys saying that. Damn it. Okay, let's start over. I think it makes sense to just trash talk in general, but like when you start actually throwing in, I'm going to injure you, and if you follow up and do that, which I've seen people do in just my league, and I'm sure professionals might not be. Oh no, they're just as aggressive, but it's higher stakes than that in those games, and it's just unacceptable to actually act on those. When you say that, it's almost an intimidation factor that as a player, you just got to assume they aren't going to try and do that. But I think it gets in your head, and I'm sure Ibra got into Onuoha's head by doing that. And so he was always on guard, looking out for, is he coming in at the high tackle to try and injure me?
Matt, what do you think about Ibra going into the RSL locker room and trying to apologize? Do you think he should have done that?
So I'm fine with him trying to do that, because I think he was trying to be sincere and like he felt bad. And I guess I'm kind of okay with Onuoha not accepting the apology, because I don't know what was exactly said. He could have been really offensive during the game, and whatever he said, I mean, it's not for me to forgive whatever he said. So I'm fine with him going to apologize. I'm fine with Onuoha not accepting it. I think it's still part of the game. I think apologizing was maybe the right thing to do, and not accepting it. I mean, not everyone's going to accept your apologies.
Yeah,
I know it's not your job to forgive him, but do you?
No, yeah, I'm in complete agreement with Matt there. I mean, I didn't get into too many trash talking battles with, when I played, but in the heat of the moment, you say things and you get you get into it. But after the game,
I mean, I remember a specific instance where you got a red card because you got pretty into it.
Yeah, and
Talking
then
about the ref though.
Yeah, no, but I was thinking of a different game when I was a little bit younger, and they were trying to man mark me, and so this guy was just draped all over me, and we got into it, and after the game, I just called him over and was just like, hey, you say things, and overall we were good, because at the end of the day, I mean, most people are good just leaving it on the field, and they respect that, what happens out there, and then second you step off, you can go back to being nice. So I'm fine with all parties in this situation. That Onuoha didn't have to accept the apologies, but I like that Ibra ended up doing that. So just speaking a little bit from personal experience there. Christian, anything else on this topic?
Nope.
Matt?
So maybe it's just like a British thing, because I'll never forget when we played the Welsh team when I was in high school. I did like the most common foul of like barely grabbing one of the Welsh kids, and he just completely lost his shit on me. And I was like, maybe they just aren't okay with people touching them.
All right, so that's where we'll leave it on that one.
Yeah.
Next thing I wanted to talk about here in this section, Major League Soccer. I don't know why they do this, but they have a disciplinary committee, and the Philadelphia Union, so the team we support, has been impacted by this twice this year. A player gets a red card from the union, and then MLS disciplinary committee doesn't announce an additional suspension until a day or two before the next match. So oftentimes this is more than a week later, and so the player's automatically suspended for the following match, and then so that happens. So that'll be a week later, and then MLS disciplinary committee will wait another few days, sometimes 4 or 5 days, before announcing it. So the time elapsed between the red card will be anywhere from 7 to 10 days. Christian, or let's go to Matt first on this one. Matt, what do you think about the disciplinary committee's just delay at announcing these suspensions?
I mean, I think it's pretty ridiculous. It should be probably, I mean, they have all the information almost as soon as the game is over. So I think 2 days maximum should be all the information they have to make a decision. So I don't understand waiting, an entire week to make a decision.
Christian, what do you think about this? Do you agree with what Matt said there?
So I guess this is specifically to Kai Wagner. Is that where?
And Marco Fabian happened too.
Okay. I think it's absolutely unacceptable. It does not take that long to make a decision on these types of things. I understand there's a lot of teams playing, but there's not that many red cards. So I feel like with the disciplinary committee, they should easily be able to make that decision probably in 48 hours. I agree with what Matt said there. At least what the suspension is before your next game is played. I know in Kai's case, and I'm sure it was in Fabian's case too, you didn't know until after the first game you had a suspension. You found out again that you were out of the next game. That's just ridiculous. You should know before the next game is played how long your suspension is going to be.
Absolutely. Complete agreement. I know I sort of led into this question and you guys kind of said exactly what I was thinking, but I can't for the life of me. Yeah, I know. I can't for the life of me think about why this is the case and why it takes so long and what the issue is with the delay. Matt, any thoughts on why potentially they would wait to review information?
Because the MLS is the freaking worst.
Okay, helpful as always. Christian, any thoughts on actually why they might delay?
I honestly think that they're just inefficient and they are not checking things in inappropriate ways. And they have a lot of other things probably going on, but a disciplinary committee literally just has to focus on the disciplinary things. How can it be this difficult? How many red cards are possibly in a weekend and fouls that need to be reviewed? There cannot be that many.
Yeah.
In other words, they are the worst.
Yeah. In fairness, it's not like the discipline. Yeah. No. In fairness to the disciplinary committee and all of that, this is not. I know. I completely mispronounced. I tried to power through again. The disciplinary committee. This isn't like what they do full time, right? They have other jobs. They have other things, and so at the end of the day, that's not really an excuse, but just trying to provide some sort of clarity here. It's unacceptable from any standpoint. Matthew.
So is the disciplinary committee is it like jury duty where the MLS just hires people? They send it out in the mail and they're like, hey, you have to review this play for a week.
No, I believe it's set before the season, but it's supposed to be a mixture of former players and referees. I believe it is who's involved in the committee, and it's set before the season, so it's not just like a random sort of thing. Guys, Christian, anything else to add on this topic?
No.
Matthew.
No.
Before we get to the listener questions, quick plug. We have Bros Talking Soccer stickers. If you're a listener, you don't have stickers, hit us up on Twitter at BT Soccer Pod. We have them. We'd love to send them out to you, and we'd love to get them out to you. Additionally, I'm going to be adding a second interview episode per week. We have a lot of people, we want to interview for the podcast, and so my guest list was getting pretty long, and so we're adding a second interview per week. So we're going to go to 3 episodes a week. Still get the Sunday episode we always do, and then we'll go to Wednesday and Friday for episodes. So that's something to look forward to. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. Additionally, go check out the Soccer Tavern. It's a YouTube channel making videos about the history, culture, and philosophy of the beautiful game. Let's get to our listener.
Also making history.
Yep, it is making history to an extent. All right, first up, it comes to us from our friend Soccer Noob from our Slack channel. Okay, here's a legit question for the next podcast. Just how hands-on are MLS clubs with official supporters groups? This was kind of in reference to Sons of Ben discussion we were having. Christian, any thoughts on how involved MLS clubs are with their official supporters groups?
I really don't think they're involved at all, to be honest. I think that there's a very, very small partnership between the two, but the fan section really is a separate entity, and especially with the Sons of Ben, it's what I've noticed. They make their own chants, they do all the banners, they do everything. They just support the same team.
Matthew, any thoughts here?
I think I agree with Christian. I watched the Atlanta documentary about their fans, and it seems like they kind of take it on themselves to kind of lead their fan group, and it doesn't seem like anything to do with the club, and I don't think there's too much, canoodling between the club and the fan group.
Canoodling.
Yeah, I think it does vary from club to club. I think most of them are pretty independent, but MLS is a little bit more strict with signage and things like that. Whereas overseas, you see supporters groups and ultras putting up, all kinds of sayings and all kinds of language and sometimes heavily criticizing, the front office. That doesn't happen quite as often in MLS. And I think that's more a factor of like American sports, and just they don't really allow it, and they have more control over the fans in the stadium. Whereas overseas, the fans have a little bit more power. But that's the only thing else that I would add there. Christian, do you have something else you would like to add?
I just feel like canoodling was not the right word to use.
Yeah. It kind of sounds like our last name, though.
Well,
so
yeah.
Colluding? Was that the word you were looking for?
No.
No, canoodling, like you're snuggling up between them. Canoodling actually does work there. Colluding would work as well. But don't come at Matt for using the wrong words.
It's just such a good word. Oh my.
I feel like American sports in general, where you said that, like I feel like other sports where if your team's not performing, like the Browns fans for like freaking 10 years were wearing like bags on their heads and talking trash about like the management and the team, and I think that does happen.
Yeah, but that's
I would too if I was the Browns.
But that's very different than like the Bayern Munich fans basically saying like "fuck you Bundesliga," as a banner or things like that. Or Italy, where they're doing all kinds of ridiculous things. In the supporters section.
The best.
No, well, it can be the best and can be the absolute worst as well. But that's more what I'm talking about. Whereas
the NFL, The NFL, where everyone hates Roger Goodell, is an interesting
yeah,
point.
But that's that is interesting.
Hating Roger Goodell.
Yeah, it's interesting to an extent, but that's very different than just wearing a brown paper bag on your head and maybe making some comments here or there. Whereas you have orchestrated things that are happening from a supporters section that would never really happen in MLS. That's more what I'm trying to say here.
Okay, understood.
All right. So next question actually is from Soccer Noob as well. How far would PSG have to come down or other clubs have to come up to make Ligue 1 title race interesting within a year or possibly multiple years? So Matt, basically, what would need to happen in Ligue 1 to make the title race actually competitive?
So I think what's going to happen this year with Neymar leaving is going to make it at least a little bit more competitive. I really think Neymar is leaving. I think Mbappe's staying. I think Cavani is also not a lock to stay at PSG. I think he could go somewhere else. I'm not sure what his contract is. I think he might have another year, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't think he's necessarily a long-term piece at PSG. So I think just the main people at that team leaving soon. I think Verratti's also been linked to a bunch of top clubs. And I think their best players, not winning the Champions League at PSG, I think their top players are a little bit frustrated by that. So I think it is kind of going to come closer sooner than people think.
Okay, so player exodus would need to happen. Christian, what about you? What do you think would make the title race more interesting?
I think a player exodus definitely is what will cause that to happen. But I think Lyon are building something really, really special at their club. And if they are able to hold on to those star players, they could be competitive. I just don't think that they're there yet. And they may have to spend to really get to that next elite level where they can challenge with PSG. But I agree with Matt. I think one of Mbappe or Neymar is going to leave this year. And I don't know which one it's going to be. Cavani could also leave. That would completely throw off the balance of their attack. They've built those three attackers around each other where they complement each other really well. But I think that's going to be broken up this year. And it'll be interesting to see how they compete because I'm not really sold on the rest of their team completely.
Yeah, I think the one additional piece I'll add, because what you guys said is spot on, is more on the Lyon side of things. What we've seen from Ajax is investing in youth and then supplementing that with players that are sort of near their prime that have been sort of cast off by some of the bigger clubs. I mean, Memphis Depay was written off at Manchester United. How old was he? 23, maybe 24, and sold to Lyon, and he's sort of bouncing back. I think if one of the Ligue 1 teams, maybe it's Lyon, but if they can sort of find that sweet spot of having young academy kids coming through, where it's getting these cast-off players that maybe didn't work for whatever reason, because soccer players, it can be so different from situation to situation. Somebody could just flame out at a club, but they could be very, very successful somewhere else. And so if they can find that sweet spot of cast-off players and that are supremely talented, that might be a way that they challenge as well. So that's the other thing I wanted to add there. Next question comes to us from Stephen Brandt, who's live with us on YouTube. Hello, Stephen. Who would be the 5 people in the sport you would like to have a beer with? So Christian, I know we answered this on Slack. Do you want to give your 5 here?
Honestly, don't remember, but I think I have some of them. And I'll make up some new ones.
All right, there you go.
Well. So Steven Gerrard and Jurgen Klopp will be my top 2 easily. I feel like I would want to meet Pep Guardiola. I just would love to bounce like his ideas, or I would just love to hear his ideas. I have no ideas to offer him. I think he would just be telling me like what he thinks about everything. He's completely revolutionized the game and is arguably the best manager I've seen. Just the teams he's gone to and completely revolutionized their styles of play. The other ones here, I want to go with Xabi Alonso. I don't think I had him last time, but I love that guy. He is just amazing. And probably, even though it's boring, I would want to just meet Messi because why not? And I don't think it would be a fun conversation because there would be no conversation. But, he's there and you got to meet him. So that was cool.
All right, Matt, who would be your 5?
So I think Ibra and Benjamin Mendy would be 2 just personality people. It'd be like, we'll just see where the night freaking takes us. Where it depends how many beers we get in us. Let's see where the night goes. Another one, Alexis Sanchez, be like, how did you rob Manchester United of that much money? That'd be an interesting one. And then the other 2, I think, just Messi and Ronaldo, just seeing what they think, what they do. I think they might be pretty boring people, but just like seeing what they think, depending on how drunk I am and the questions I get to ask, I think that would be pretty interesting depending on the questions I ask.
Yeah, Ronaldo doesn't drink though, so I guess you'll have to get him like an old duels or something like that. Christian,
you ever see the Heineken commercial?
There you go. Very true. Yes. Christian, you have something else you would like to add?
Sorry, I want to add an alternate in there for Pep Guardiola maybe, and it would be Andrew Robertson. He's just the funniest. I don't know if you've seen videos of him, but he's just hilarious.
No, but speaking of the hilarious front, so I'm in agreement, Klopp and Gerrard, for a lot of the reasons Christian highlighted. Klopp just seems like so much fun, and obviously the connection to Liverpool. Gerrard was my idol growing up. Peter Crouch would be the one that I would love to have a beer with.
I have him on my
Damn
initial
it.
list. That's
yeah,
the one.
so
Yeah.
he's just hilarious. And then my last two are like sort of like deep cuts into American soccer. I would like to actually have a beer with Alexi Lawless just to hear his
I have to
actual
leave.
thoughts.
I gotta go. I'm done.
Yeah, just because I don't know how much he actually believes of what he's saying, and to actually just sort of actually pick his brain on how much of it is trolling, how much of it he actually believes. And quite frankly, he does have a huge place in American soccer. I mean, he was there in the 94 World Cup. He signed David Beckham as the president of LA Galaxy. He's a pundit on TV. And so, he's gone through a lot of American soccer. So he'd be fascinating. And then the last one is Bobby Warshaw. I really loved his book. I played against him in high school. We're from the same area. We are the same age, so we played against each other growing up, and he obviously, made it and had a successful career, and I love his thoughts on the game, and he's got such a unique perspective. I'd love to grab a beer with him someday. So next question is actually from Steven as well. Best looking jersey ever, Matthew.
So, best looking jersey ever.
I have some, if you want me to go first.
Go first. I'm going to think about this real quick.
Okay, so historically, I would say probably like the Argentina kits. I just love that color combination that's so iconic with the light blue and white stripes up and down. I really love that. The Pumas jersey from a couple years ago in Mexico that had that Puma, looking icon on the front of it was really, really cool looking. So those would be the ones. And then from a modern day perspective, I love the ones that have like unique, subtle patterns sewn into them. So like Nigeria and Senegal in the World Cup, I love those like designs that had the lion and then Nigeria's intricate pattern. So those would be the ones that I would go for. Matt, any thoughts come to you? Or Christian, are you ready to go?
I have one.
There you go, Christian.
And I hate it, but it's a thing. I really like just the basic plain all white kit for Real Madrid. I hate that I like it, but I just really like the clean look of that. They also had the all black a couple of years ago too for their alternate kit. It looks so fresh the way that it's just all one color.
And nice. So clean.
So fresh and so clean.
So fresh and so clean, yeah.
All right, Matthew.
So for me, I think being able to stand the test of time, I think Juventus with just the plain black and white staying for so long and, doing so well and, selling every year and getting like those marketable players, whether it's the Jeep on the front or to be honest, I think the Jeep on the front was probably my favorite Juventus jersey when Pogba was there. So I think Juventus might be my favorite.
I also want to add the 08-09 Barcelona kit that was half red, half blue. I really, really liked that color combination that they did because they usually have the stripes, but they did the half and half. That was really cool.
All right, there you go. Next question's from Drew Deal, our friend Drew. What's the worst looking jersey ever? Guys, any thoughts immediately come to mind? I did a little bit of digging, so if you want me to go first while you think.
I just remember some awful ones. I don't know who they're specifically related to, but I could just picture the one that I'm thinking of, and I feel like Alexi Lawless was wearing it.
Yeah, so I was saying the inaugural MLS kits, a lot of them were not very, very great looking. And then the other things that I really don't like is kits from Latin America and South America that are just absolutely covered in sponsors. It's almost like you can't, like it's just a mishmash and it just does not look good. So I don't love those. And yeah, so that's what I'll say. Matt, any come to mind?
I think when City freaking goes purple, or just like, not even City, but just like every team's like third kit, I feel like it's just like so off brand, and it just pisses me off so much nowadays. I don't know.
Okay.
But
yep.
Cities in particular, because I'm a fan. It's just like, why are we doing this?
No, that's completely fair. Yeah, I get that, Christian.
Like the purple, yellow, and black kits Liverpool had a couple of years ago. Those were just horrendous.
Oh God, yeah.
They were on some list when I was doing research for this. Yeah, they were terrible. But yeah, no, I'm with Matt. Like when teams try to go away from their historical color schemes and things like that just to sell kits, I don't love that. Next question's from @Glenn Lawrence. This ties back into what we covered in Matt's Megs. Should Tottenham be fined for putting Vertonghen back on the pitch in his condition? Christian?
No. I think that's for a doctor to decide, and if the doctor approves it, then that's just the way that it is. I think they need to do more to get actual third-party doctors to make the decisions, though.
Matthew?
So I don't think he should be fined. I mean, obviously the ref was pretty concerned about letting him back on, but at the time, Vertonghen seemed okay and was like very animate that he was okay to come back on the pitch. And it took another 15 seconds before his body kind of just collapsed. So I don't think they should be fined.
All right, Christian, just a quick question. Where's your phone right now? Is it right next to the microphone or no?
No.
Okay. Apologies for listeners. If you're getting any sort of static the last few minutes, I've been getting it, and so it's been driving me a little bit crazy, and we apologize for that. But just wanted to throw that out there. No worries. So I actually will say Tottenham should be fined for this because at a certain point, player safety does need to be taken more seriously, and nothing's going to happen if teams aren't penalized when they make mistakes, regarding player safety. So I actually think they should be fined, and it should be an escalating situation. Whereas this happens again, the fine gets bigger. So I actually am in agreement there. Last question comes to us from @Ty_Bond. That's our friend Tyler Bond. Are the Union for real this year, Christian?
They are for real, for real. They have depth all over the field, and it's really, really fun to watch them play. They won 6-1 yesterday. Yes, you can say that it was against New England Revolution, but New England actually looks pretty dangerous on their breaks, and they are just atrocious defensively. But the Union in the second half yesterday were just the real deal. Santos is going to be a star for this team. Shabilko with him up front, just the hold-up man and the speed duo. It's going to be really, really fun to watch what they can do.
Matthew.
So I've been actually following results this year. I've only watched one game, but it seems like the Union are better than they've ever been before. I feel like at least a playoff win is in our future. A single playoff win.
All right, there you go. Yes, I will say the Union are for real. I'm rocking my Union kit, Shock Blue. I absolutely am so excited about this team. Depth all over the pitch, like Christian said. Shabilko and Santos, I think, are the forward pairing of the future, and having Fafa and Akam off the bench. Midfield's looking good. I mean, we've used 24 out of the 26 players on the senior roster. 24, along with the Red Bulls, is the most players used so far this season. And it's not like players are just coming in for just sort of bit part experiences. Most of the players have played meaningful minutes, and that's going to bode well for them in the long run. So I'm very excited about this team, and they are for real. Christian, you want to recap our...
Oh. Yeah, sorry. The only thing I wanted to add on that is if Ilsinho was just fit,
oh my God,
be so good. Honestly, I know. We could be so good.
Yeah, Matt and I were talking about that earlier before you joined. I mean, he is so good.
I think it was something that Tyler actually retweeted, or the Free Kick Pod. It was like
different Tyler.
Yeah. Oh, different Tyler.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Oh, hi there, Tyler.
There are more than one Tyler in the world.
I thought there was only one. But yeah, saying like the MLS is the only league where a Brazilian gold medal Olympic winner can be a bench player on a subpar MLS team.
All right. Well, first off, they're not subpar, and second of all, like Christian said,
top of the league,
been a bench player for however long on a subpar MLS team.
That's because he's not fit. He would be starting every week if he could actually run for more than 55 minutes. So, that's the reason for that. But yeah, no, he's been incredible to watch, and he's so much fun when he's on his game, and he was most certainly on his game yesterday, May 4th. Christian, what was our trivia question?
When was the last time Manchester United won on their final away league game of the season?
Matthew.
So I'm going to say 2012? Wait, 2012? No. Yeah, 2012 in Sunderland.
Okay.
2011 or 2012?
When did Fergie retire?
He retired in 2013.
All right. I'll say 2011.
The correct answer is a 1-0 win at Sunderland in 2012.
Damn. Good job, Matthew.
That was when City won the league, right?
That is the final day that City won 3-2.
Thank you.
Against QPR.
All right. Yeah. So there you have it, listeners. Hopefully you did better than I did, and hopefully you got the correct answer like Matthew did. If you like what you heard here, please consider leaving us a review on whatever podcasting platform you listen to us on. It really, really helps us out, and we would greatly, greatly appreciate that. It only takes a couple seconds and would really help us out. Christian, can you tell people about our Slack channel?
Yeah, if you want to join Slack, it's an app or a website. And if you want to join our channel, you just got to email us at brostalkingsoccer.com, or you could tweet at us at BTSoccerPod and we will get you involved. What Slack is a user interface where you could talk to us and everyone else that's in there. It's a big chat room. We got all these different channels, such as the top 5 European leagues, MLS, Liga MX, international soccer, transfer rumors, a general category where you could talk to us about whatever's happening in your life or anyone else's. So yeah, definitely join us over there.
Yeah, and the email was bros.talking.soccer@gmail.com. So just wanted to reiterate that if you want to get on there. Matthew, can you tell people about our website?
Our website is www.brostalkingsoccer.com. There you can find past episodes, read about us, the brothers, our life, our story, all that good stuff. You can also find a link.
All right. God
Wow,
damn it.
that's
We
so
almost
close.
made it.
So,
Yeah,
so
we
close.
almost made it. You can also find past episodes. And if you want to support the show,
where traditional charts to you, you go shop your normal Amazon stuff. It really just helps us support the show. It'd be great.
Yes. Okay. So yes, go to our store link on our website, click store. And if you're buying anything on Amazon, click the Amazon link. We get a very, very small percentage of whatever you end up purchasing. No additional cost to you. Just a couple extra steps helps support the show. Christian, thank you for being here and talking with me.
Thank you, David. It was my pleasure.
Matthew, thanks for being here. I think you're still here and we'll just let it go. All right, Matt, thanks for being here. Listeners, most importantly, thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Yes. Okay. Listeners, thank you so much. We almost made it without technical difficulties, but we didn't. So thank you. We'll be back with 2 interview episodes this week. We are interviewing someone from a soccer facility called So5, which is like a really cool facility, and hopefully having the Sons of Ben movie director on. We're still trying to coordinate with him. We might have somebody else if that ends up falling through. But 2 interviews this week, and hope everybody has a great week. We'll talk to you soon. See ya. People that have joined us live on YouTube, thank you for being here. Steven, most importantly, thank you for being here, interacting with us as we have went along here. Christian, he liked your headphones. And yeah, with that brings us to the end of the podcast. We're going to shut it down here, everybody. Have a great week.
I like your headphones, Steven.
All right, see ya. Bye.